My people will say, may I tell him what it's regarding? That I want to know. I do not want you to say, who's calling? Who's calling? What does it matter who's calling?
Whoa.
Give him the damn phone.
Dude, Bradley, seriously? Let's put you in the hit and you cold call for a company. When someone says, may I ask who's calling, you say, why do you need to know? Let's see how that goes for you, man. Seriously, come on. What I don't like about that is it really, like, he's the problem in sales culture, guys like him.
Yeah.
Because there's guys like him running companies and there's guys like him managing people.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Customer Engagement Lab. Today, Patrick and I are joined by someone you probably already know. But if you don't, it's because you're living under a fucking rock.
Yeah, you idiot.
Just kidding. But this is a man that you can usually find on LinkedIn microclips talking about all things outbound sales. He's an inspiring podcaster, one of my very favorite outbound sales coaches right now, and a sucker for basketball metaphors. It's Jason Bay, aka Jay Bay in the house.
You're Jay Bay. Welcome.
What's up, guys? That was the killer intro, Travis.
Jason Bay, welcome to the show. Welcome.
Cool. So happy to be here, you guys. Chop it up. I don't know a lot about what to expect from this conversation, so this is gonna
more
be
of
fun.
this. It's just this. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I can do that.
No, as part of the show, we like to pull up a few LinkedIn posts, random TikToks, and other media, and just dive into it with you. The idea is to get to know your sales philosophy, how you actually coach sales, as well as like how you actually buy stuff in your real life and like based off of your own experience. So are you ready to dive into some posts and some clips?
I'm fucking ready, man. Let's do this.
Yes.
Love that energy.
We got the license to swear and we're like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah. America, you know?
All right. So I'm going to pull up a post here that you put out about 3 weeks ago. Here's my number one sequencing hack. Ready for it? Keep it simple. Too many reps overthink their sequencing strategy, spending too much time on the details. Should I use LinkedIn voice or video? Should I call, then email, or email, then call? Should I send emails in the morning or in the afternoon? These aren't terrible questions to ask, but if you're not doing the basics, none of that matters. Keep it simple. Sequencing is a framework you can use 2 to 3 times your response rates. You can use two to 3 times your response rates. The best part, it's simple and straightforward to execute. Multi-channel, phone plus email plus LinkedIn. Multi-touch, 12 to 15 touches. Persistence, spread those touches out across 3 weeks. Come up with 2 to 3 talking points around your prospects' priorities. Leverage short follow-ups between your main talking points. Example, any thoughts? And connect the channels. Example, point your voicemails to your emails. I have heard this guy sitting next to me talk about that all the time. Remember, messaging is critical. Don't expect this to work if you're not talking about what's a priority for your prospects. So this was a post that caught my attention, and I have a surprise guest who will be joining us at the very end of this.
Wait a second.
To get some feedback from you and Jason. It's an SDR here from PandaDoc.
Oh my gosh. Who could it be?
I want you guys to give her some live advice.
Okay.
Yeah. You're like, I know.
Yeah, I know it.
I know. Yeah. But yeah, so Jason, this post caught my attention because I also looked at this sequencing diagram that you put together, and I was looking at the comments, and that's like, I love a good comment section. My favorite one came from a friend of the show, Alexine Moudouar, who's been on a former podcast that we used to host.
Yeah.
And she wrote, "The triple touch works every time." And then Zach wrote, "Having put together hundreds of sequences for teams I've worked with, this one has produced the best results for me. It's simple for the prospect and easy to run and manage for the sales rep." So I wanted to ask you guys, like, what else would you add that you didn't get to say in this post? Was there anything that like you wanted to go deeper on?
There isn't anything I want to go deeper on, but I want to just grab reps by the head sometimes and be like, there's no fucking magic sequence, dude. Okay? There's no like magic sequence of activities that like works every time. And everyone wants the bullets. So the reason for that post is that I call it sales crack. You got to give salespeople sales crack. You got to give them some of the tactical stuff where you don't even explain why it works. You just like, hey, just say any thoughts in a follow-up. Trust me, it'll get a response. And people want that sales crack. So I have to kind of give people what they want. And then when you get to work with me as a client, I'll give you what you need. You know what I mean? So that's kind of that's the thing that I would say that I'm actually personally working on, is bringing more of my personality and emotion into my content. Because if that was a video, I'd be like, you guys, stop, please. I know SalesLoft will put out all this data. There's so many millions of data, nothing against SalesLoft or Outreach or whoever. There's so many millions of data points that they have. They're like, how could you possibly apply that to your situation with the people that you're reaching out to? Start with like something really fundamental and work off of that. So that's that's what's going on behind the scenes when I write that. I'm seriously like really angry, like furiously typing on the.
It doesn't come off angry at all. It comes off like very friendly and educational.
You guys remember that Gong study that came out? That was like, if you swear with your prospect, you'll close $3,000 million in revenue. And then everybody was like, I'm just going to start swearing in my my calls, and it just backfired terribly.
Yeah.
For everybody, they're like, this didn't work, Gong. I got fired.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering how you find. You know, I'm not an expert in this, but my wife Sarah will read a lot of studies and stats, and she's really into stuff. It's got to be peer reviewed. There's got to be a certain amount of data points and all this other stuff. And how many people, including myself, get a piece of data and you just take it at face value? You don't even, like, what I want to know from Gong, and again, this is nothing from Gong, because they're brilliant marketers, and it's a brilliant product. Like, is such a great product. And I would create content exactly the same as they do if I was them. But the sales coach in me and the sales trainer in me looks at that and I'm like, dude, no fucking way. Come on. Who was the data with? Is this people primarily selling to VPs of marketing and VPs of sales? Like, we need to, I bet that data would look different across industries, in geography, the gender of the person that says it, the ethnicity. I mean, there's just so many variables. Come on. That's really, that's irresponsible advice to me.
That was my
to say use more profanity. That's irresponsible.
I don't know, Jason. When you just said that cuss word, I kind of wanted to give you my credit card.
darn tootin'.
I just had this weird urge. I was like, well, I don't know. This guy seems like he knows what he's talking about. I need to hire him.
Patrick, any thoughts on the sequencing?
I have so many thoughts. I'm going to stick to one, and it's a story. I had an SDR I was training come up to me, and he gave me this cadence, and he said, I can't use this. I haven't made any calls all day. And I was like, why? And they said, well, the call is first, and I need the email first. I was like, what? Why? It's like, if I don't have the email to reference, you can't make the call. And I was like, who told you that? What do you mean? And it just like ruined their brain. I think people get stuck in like, there's one way to do it. And I saw this post from James Buckley last night where he said, pragmatism is the religion of sales, which I couldn't agree with more, where it's like, whatever works is what you should do. And sometimes it's the thing that sounds stupid, but you can't stick to like one line of thought. And I think people do that with sequencing, and they'll look at a sequence and be like, there's no way this could work. And then you look at the response rate and it's like 15%.
Yeah.
Like, well, it did though.
Yeah.
Marketers think very similarly though. Like, we want a formula that we can plug and chug, baby. Like, we want to just strike gold, find it, and repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. That's what we want. Like, we want what Jason was talking about earlier. Like, give me the tactic, give me the formula.
Yeah, I need the email first.
Email has to be first.
It's kind of crazy how, you know, like when you think about in your personal life, things that you get hung up on, right? You know, for a lot of people, what we could use an example of, like, just like working out, you know, for example, and they get hung up on, I need to have the perfect routine first. I got to have the perfect workout routine in order to work out. There's no point in doing it if the routine's not perfect.
It's such a good example.
Psychology that hangs like people up in their personal life, you know? Michael Port, have you guys read Book Yourself Solid or heard of that? Okay. So he wrote a really popular book called Book Yourself Solid. It's mostly for people in my line of work. And one quote he had in there is so good. He said, business problems are really personal problems in disguise. So when you think about the stuff you get hung up on in your professional life, I guarantee you it's manifesting itself from something in your personal life. So if you're the type of person that gets hung up on like all of these little things that needs to be perfect, like I bet that person, that rep, I bet they do that same thing in their personal life. They don't take action on certain things where it's like, part of this is just start doing it and just accept that you're not going to be perfect at it. But you need this like base layer of knowledge. Think about, how long have you been selling, Patrick?
6 years.
6 years. I bet the first couple months were like pretty crazy of like taking in a shit ton of information. And I'd love to hear your story. I imagine part of it was just like, okay, I just need to like do this. I'm just going to go out and do it and make it happen. And like, I'll learn as I go and like all that other stuff, but it doesn't keep you from moving forward and taking action. I don't know what that is that people get stuck on with that. I think fear of embarrassment is something I talked to. I'm forgetting his last name, Jesse. He's one of the top SDR managers at Patient Pop. And he said the number one thing he looks for when he hires people is, are they able to overcome their fear of embarrassment? Are they okay messing up in front of people? That's a pretty brilliant thing to look for. That's not a check the box kind of thing that you would put on an application, But I think there's all these kind of little things that you get hung up on in your personal life that manifest themselves in how you sell or how you market and stuff,
I like the example of somebody that's like, no, bro, you got to get the macros in. I need to know
Yeah.
exactly what my diet's going to be.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that I'm going to get muscle mass that I'm looking to get.
Same with like podcasting, right? Where like we just started with
Oh,
terrible
man.
equipment, like no lighting, no mics. We just did it. So many people are like, I need the perfect lighting setup and this mic and this mixer. And then they'll never do it still. Even when they get all that stuff.
Yeah.
Just do
And
it.
it's like, hey, no one's going to listen to your first episode. They just aren't. Unless you have this big brand and you pump a bunch of money, no one's even going to notice you. Eddie Van Halen got started on a $120 guitar that he pieced together himself. Michael Jordan learned how to play basketball on a dirt basketball court. You know what I mean? Casey Musgraves, if you like country sing, she sang in churches growing up. It wasn't like she had this like fancy setup and stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, just do the thing. It's about the craft. Like you have to get good at the craft, just fucking do it.
One of my favorite like music random factoids as I was listening to Jason is, if you are a fan of I'm blanking on his name, the lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins, Billy Corgan.
Billy Corgan.
Yeah.
That's a name I haven't heard in a minute.
I was listening to a song of his last night, and I remember this random fact I learned from my roommate in college, and he was like, "Did you know that Billy Corgan worked at a Long John Silver's as the fry cook, frying shrimp before he was like one of the biggest rock legends of like our generation?"
Wow. That's probably a really good fish.
This brings me into the next post I want to talk with you gentlemen about. I'll pull it up.
I forgot we were even talking about a LinkedIn post.
How do we get from sequencing to Billy Corgan and frying fish?
You're
7 degrees of Billy Corgan.
very welcome. All right, so let me pull it up here. Righty.
Oh, Christina.
Do you know her?
Yeah, she's writing sequences for us.
There you go.
Yeah.
She works at Interstellar, right?
Yes.
Okay.
She's a consultant too.
Gotcha.
I just saw this post today.
Okay, yeah. So I just saw this post today as well. I've worked with quite a few outbound teams, and I keep noticing a trend. Almost all of them are strong in just one channel. Some are amazing at hitting the phones and seeing results. Some are doing a great job at cold emailing and seeing results. Heck, some are social selling wizards and seeing results. Does this resonate with your team too? Well, here's where I try and challenge them. And by challenge them, I don't mean to abandon what they're good at doing already. I mean getting better at weaving in the other channels for outbound success. Get good at adding in cold email and social selling, even if your strength is cold calling. At the end of the day, being lethal in the 3 main channels is going to maximize the number of opportunities across the team, because different prospects respond to different channels. So try to get good at balancing all 3 channels and become a triple threat in the outbound sales world. And again, I always look to the comments here. There was a good one. James Berry had a question. I'm always torn about this one. If you're really good at one channel, why not pour all of your time into that one? Once that starts limiting your TAM, then it becomes different. And then this guy, go down a little bit. I'm not seeing him. He had oh, here you go. EJ, he wrote, agreed 100%, but it's just like in baseball. Those players that are a true triple threat are rare. Find one, keep them happy, and let them sell. So thoughts, reflections.
I disagree with that last comment. I don't think that being a triple threat and being good on the phone and email, just a double threat, I don't think that that requires that much skill. I really don't. The I think it just depends on what I think of everything through a coaching and training lens. So I think of if someone's sending lots of emails and they're having success with it, why don't they pick up the phone? I think about what's a baby step that they could take in order to start doing that. Because if you've never cold called someone before, dude, it's pretty daunting to pick up the phone and call someone and not know what to say to them. That seems like a huge insurmountable hurdle to overcome. You know what I mean? So when I think about like with teams, because I experience this a lot when training companies and just working with individuals, is what's the equivalent of, you know what, we're going to start working out. The only thing I think that you need to do next is set out your workout shoes and your workout clothes the night before so that they're there in the morning when you wake up. That's the only thing I want you to focus on. That's a mental hurdle that I can overcome in 24 to 48 hours. So my advice to folks like that, if you're trying to get people to do stuff, is what's that baby step? What's that thing that takes 5 minutes for them to do that is tangible progress towards doing that thing? If it's email, it's I'm going to put 15 minutes on my calendar to look at a good email example on LinkedIn. That's going to be the very first thing that I do. And I'm going to do that later today. I'm going to put it on the calendar. That's a baby step in the right direction. You know, so I completely disagree with that guy's comment. I don't think that being a good on the phone and email, I don't think that is special at all. That's like table stakes, dude.
Patrick?
I agree. However, they are different skills. So I've seen people that
Sure.
come in that can't write to save their lives, and copywriting is difficult. Like I don't like. There's a reason copywriters get paid so much. Like I know independent copywriters who make high six figures because it's a really important skill. But some people just can't. Like somebody on my team that's really good, he can't write an email. Like he has to have me write his emails. Like it just won't work. But he's our best sales rep. So like I just think there's some people where they do have a hurdle. And then same with social media. I have some reps that are like they don't have an Instagram, they don't have a Facebook, they want to be invisible to the world. It's hard to get those people into that. I like the baby steps idea, but I don't think it can happen quickly. I think there are some people where it might take years for them to fully develop into that other skill. But if you're really good on the phone, I mean, that's sales. Get somebody on the phone, that's the easiest way to close them.
What do you guys
From
think?
an email, you got to get to the phone anyway.
What would you say your strength is the most? Phone? What about you, Jason?
Definitely. Yeah.
The phone is king. Email is awesome too, but you still got to get them to the phone after you get the response. In my opinion.
Okay. All right.
Social selling is the future though.
Ooh.
There's a reason I post every day.
What does social selling mean to you? How do you define it?
Warming up leads by getting them used to you and your presence and getting them to know you and developing relationships with people so that when you do reach out via another channel, they already know who you are, in my opinion.
So it's like an inbound. You think of social selling really as a marketing activity to create awareness.
Exactly. Because like when I call people now, it's 100% different than before. Like if I call someone out like, hey, Patrick, I was just listening to your podcast.
Yeah.
Which if I just cold called them before, they'd be like, who is this? Like, no, I'm not interested. Over.
Yeah. Most of the cold calling examples that I use with consulting clients, I'll do some cold calling for them. Like once a week, I'll do like an hour, like on the phones, and it helps me work through the messaging and the workflow. But what it also does is I'm like, dude, if you listen to me cold call for my stuff and I'm just calling, because I hear people do this and post videos, people that do what I do. I'm like, dude, that's easy mode, man. You call people and they already know who you are. That's not the reps that you're training. That's not the experience that they have. No. That's not a great way to train someone by cold calling your prospects that have already seen your content dozens of times over the last month.
Yo, what's up? It's Gary V. Giving you a cold call real quick.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking of Grant
That's not a fucking
Cardone's
challenge.
videos from 5 years ago where he's like, I'm going to step into the pit.
Like,
what's up? It's Grant. It's Uncle G.
Yeah. I think he gets a really bad rap, by the way. Not that I want to spend a bunch of time talking about Grant Cardone necessarily. I get he's misogynist and, all that other kind of stuff, but there's something to be said about how that guy markets himself. Yeah, it's kind of douchey. It's kind of all that other stuff, but dude, a lot of people know who that guy is. He's a
God.
brilliant marketer.
I'm so glad we ended up here because I have the Grant Cardone of 2021 as our next clip that I'm going to show you guys.
I think I know who this is.
Let's see.
Me?
No, not you. You're what?
I'm Uncle P.
You're like Jigglypuff compared to Grant Cardone.
I think that Grant Cardone gets good because
I'm
people are jealous.
Clefairy. Okay, I'm Clefairy.
Sorry, my bad, dude.
I think people are jealous of his reach. I think that's
You're
the.
not getting to that individual.
So this is
Brad Lee.
Brad Lee. You guys,
I don't know who this is.
you don't know who he is?
No.
Jason, have
He
you
runs-
seen Brad Lee?
Yeah, he runs what's the video company, Lightspeed TV. Still run that company.
I don't know. All I know is I see him on TikTok and he has like 108,000 followers on YouTube. Like,
Yeah.
he's
Him and Grant Cardone are good friends.
I can
From what
see
it
it.
looks like, they do a
And
lot
he
of stuff.
yeah, so he has a podcast, and this one popped up, and I definitely just wanted to run it by you guys. Like, this is his.
I already don't like it because it says how to get past the gatekeeper. I already don't like it.
Lost him in the fun. You haven't started it. Awesome with the thumbnail.
I'm just glad you have an opinion.
Great opinion. That's good.
The first couple times anyway. No
Can you hear it, Jason?
Yep.
slick line is going to get you in. Is going to get you in. The best one I've ever used is this easy. Like if I was looking for Tara, I'd say, "Is Tara there? Is Tara around?" I wouldn't use her last name. I'd act like I know her real well. When I call people up and I know that the guy's name is Jonathan Muir, I'm looking for. Ring, ring. Hello. Hey, is John around? Who's calling? Buddy of his. None of your business. And that's another thing. Like, I hate when people say, "Who's calling?" What are you, his fucking mom? Like, who's calling?
Where's this going?
My people won't say who's calling. My people will say, "May I tell him what it's regarding?" That I want to know. I do not want you to say who's calling. Who's calling? What does it matter who's calling, bitch? Give him the damn phone. Or her. So to me, when I try to boil it down to what is truly the difference, the answer I always come up with is one: confidence, certainty. Because when I talk to someone who knows what the hell they're talking about, I can feel it. I can sense it. You know what I'm saying? I can sense when somebody's nervous. I can sense when somebody's not really sure. I definitely can sense when they're just a low-paid telemarketer. So when I'm
Man, Jason, you called that, huh? That it wasn't going to be.
Yeah. Tiny shred that I agree with him on the confidence piece. I agree, 100%.
And
That's why I can pick up the phone and get meetings with a client whose business I don't really know that well, because I'm pretty confident when I talk over the phone to them. But all the other stuff, I'm like, dude, Bradley, seriously, let's put you in the fucking pit and you cold call for a company. When someone says, "May I ask who's calling?" you say, "Why do you need to know?" Let's see how that goes for you, man. Seriously, come on.
dude, I just, so these are like the mainstream sales influencers that get so much like clout, and
That's not actual advice, though. He's like giving his opinion of it. It's so strange.
there was a part of the TikTok that I think it's a really long one, but we might have accidentally skipped over it when the page was buffering, but it was basically like, he tries to use a pattern interrupt. He doesn't call it that with the gatekeeper. And he says like, "Oh, you're the receptionist. So you're the one that runs shit around there, huh?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Nobody will say that. No, that'll really, get her attention." And
That's such classic boiler room advice. Like when I started at Yelp, that's what the advice was. It was that verbatim.
I think it's important to like bring this up because I see sales coaches and we talk with so many people that are in sales and marketing every week, and they're giving advice that's so much better.
Yeah.
And yeah,
He's a personality. That's why.
That's part of it too.
That makes me angry. It's really irresponsible to. What I don't like about that is it really like he's the problem in sales culture. Guys like him,
Yeah.
because there's guys like him running companies and there's guys like him managing people. You know what? I guarantee his sales team is all guys, and it's probably all super broy, hothead, kind of dudes, and then women that can tolerate being around those kind of guys.
When
I
he talks
guarantee
about
I can't imagine any woman wanting to work for that dude.
and when he talks about confidence, like if he were to walk in with that kind of confidence to sell me anything, I would be so quick to run away from him.
Fight or
Yeah.
flight. That activated my fight or flight.
It activated my flight. I was like, I want nothing to do with this guy because I feel like he has confidence for days, but it's so far removed from empathy that I'm like, this
Yeah.
guy could care less about me.
That guy hasn't been in a supermarket since 1999.
Yeah.
Somebody that does this shopping.
How
for
much does
him.
bread cost? Like $20?
I forget that we're supposed to be funny today too. You guys got me all fired up, dude. We're supposed to have a good time too.
It's funny because we started the call before Patrick came on and before we hit record, and I was like, Jason, like I really love your energy. Like I feel like I could just hang out with Jason, and
Yes.
we've actually had people message us about saying like that, very kind things to Patrick and us, and
cool.
about the podcast, and just being like nice people can be successful in sales too. You don't have to be
Yeah.
100%.
You can
It's
be
cool now,
genuinely
actually.
just
I
like
think.
really a nice, empathetic, sensitive person and succeed and make a shit ton of money.
Yeah. I think there's a difference though between being nice and being kind. My wife actually pointed this out to me. I there's this book called No More Mr. Nice Guy. Have you guys heard of it?
I don't think so.
I think I've heard of it.
No.
It's very, very good. The only thing I don't like about it is the title, because it's a really good book just for people, and No More Mr. Nice Guy is kind of basically male oriented, But besides that, because the thing that I went through, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago was I had this kind of realization after getting out of a relationship. I was like, am I too nice? And why am I nice to people? And that whole book kind of talks about, are you nice because, and this is subconscious for me going on, because you feel like it, entitles you to certain things, other people's approval, and I wasn't doing that on purpose, but it's like almost like when would be nice to someone, they would reject it, I would take it really personally. Versus being kind, it's like, hey, I can be this friendly person, but I have fucking boundaries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's something personally for me that I've been working on a lot, especially either with your family, your friends, or clients, especially just having boundaries and being able to say no in a nice,
being nice to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think that some people are nice to the point to where they're apologetic, and they cold call someone, and that person's really irritated, and they say sorry. I'm like, dude, you didn't do anything wrong. What are you apologizing to? You can acknowledge it. Hey, sounds like I caught you at a bad time, or sounds like I might have caught you in the middle of something. Hey, sounds like you're having a hell of a day. Whatever you want to say, you don't have to apologize though. You're not responsible for how that person feels. So I think it's like,
don't apologize for selling.
yeah,
Don't ever.
yeah.
All right. So I have somebody who we'll see. I just pinged her. She's going to join us, but I want to show you her and I. She's an SDR here at Panadoc. Her name is Haley, and we are working on doing some video prospecting.
Oh, cool.
And okay. And I wanted to show the both of you one of the videos she sent to a prospect and get some advice because she's not getting a lot of responses. And so I wanted to see what you guys thought. Hey,
What's up,
Haley.
Haley.
Hey,
Hey
Haley.
team, how's it going? Hey Jason, great to meet you.
You too. I've heard a lot about you so far. It's all been good. It's all been good.
You're
I'm
gonna
glad
listen
it's all
to
good
like,
things.
Why was I all over this podcast? They kept bringing me up.
No, we
Aw.
didn't talk too much smack, but we are here to look at your Vidyard video and get some advice from Jason and Patrick here and talk about like if you were to get this kind of video, would you respond? And if not, what would you want to see? And what else can Haley do? What can I help her do as well We're running a marketing and sales kind of experiment here. We want to see if people will respond to our video prospecting. So you guys ready to see it?
It's like a what would you do with John Kionis? One of my favorite shows.
I don't think I know that show.
Oh, you need to
I don't
watch.
know
You gotta play
either.
this
I don't
game.
think I know.
It's when like people will be in public and someone will do like a very obviously bad thing, like spill milk on someone's head, and they're trying to see if the person will do the right thing and be like, "Don't spill milk on people's heads. That's a bad thing." And then John Kionis comes out and he's like, "Hey, I'm John Kionis. I'm here to tell you you did a good thing right there." Anyways, let's look at this.
Thank you so much for that.
You're so welcome.
Alrighty. We open up Vidyard. Haley, thank you so much for being willing to share this video with us and with everybody else. It's-
Thank
I want to
Yeah,
commend you on
absolutely.
the bravery. A lot of people wouldn't have the courage to do that. They hate seeing themselves on film, and just want to commend you on that. So
Appreciate it.
full screen this bad boy. Alrighty.
Hey Jennifer, my name is Haley Sobel. I am from PandaDoc and I wanted to reach out. First of all, I apologize for the wonky background, but you know, you gotta have that good lighting, right? For these videos especially. So I just wanted to reach out to you because I am connected to on LinkedIn, and I was just going through employee page, and I figured that you would be the best person to talk to about contracts and how you guys go about creating them, storing them, negotiations, things like that, and attaching e-signatures onto them, since that's part of your responsibility as far as writing them up, reviewing them, and going through that negotiation process. Also wanted to reach out because I saw that you guys integrate directly with Salesforce. I know that you guys are currently using G Suite, and I figured why not reach out to see how we can help streamline and automate that entire process for you. Also, on behalf of the PandaDoc fam, definitely wanted to send a big congratulations your way because I know you guys are looking to hire over 1,000 employees by the end of 2021, and you guys have just recently gotten some great funding. So looking forward to seeing you guys expand and grow, and hopefully PandaDoc can be here to help you with that process. So feel free to book with the link below, and looking forward to talking soon, Jennifer. Have a good one. Bye.
All right. So before you respond, I will be bleeping out all of that prospect's information and cut
Thank
that
you.
part out. So don't worry about it.
And your address is this.
That's all in post-production. Don't worry about it. But yeah, so Haley, again, thank you so much for being willing to share this video that you sent out to a prospect. And yeah, whoever wants to jump in and give Haley some feedback.
Can you provide just a tiny bit of context before we do that? Like what kind of company it was, industry, who the person was again? Like what was the kind of background again?
Yeah, absolutely. So she is in sales operations over at this company. They are a SaaS company, I believe based in the Southeast area. So they have around 200 to 300 employees, I believe. I would have to double check on that. I don't have my notes right open to know the exact details on it, but that's just a little bit of the background.
And then was there any other like part to your sequence? Were you also like maybe emailing this prospect or calling them at all?
Yeah, so with initial outreach for her specifically, I had called and left a voicemail, emailed her this video. Actually, one of their competitors, their biggest competitor was exploring us. So I mentioned what they were exploring us for, seeing how we can align with them, see if they'd be open to the conversation, and then sending this video again.
Nice.
And she has opened emails, but hasn't viewed the video.
Yeah. So feedback time. What do you think?
I got one more question.
Okay.
There's a lot of things you could like hope for in outreach and a lot of intentions you should have, but
Mhm.
what were you hoping to convey in the video? Like what were you hoping they would feel watching it?
Ooh, that's a great question. And I don't know that I necessarily thought about that going into it. It was more so to just get our name out there, put a face to the name, get some visibility into who I am to make sure that she knows that I'm a real human reaching out. It's not just her getting sent through an automated cadence. So I think that was my intention prior to it. And of course, a booking would be nice. but her being able to see like this, I know some information, I have warmth, this, I'm targeting you specifically for a specific reason. Would you be interested?
So maybe it sounds like you were wanting them to feel safe, unthreatened, to feel welcomed by you. I don't know, just stabbing in the dark. Trying to put emotional words to what she just said.
That would sound accurate. I would say so.
Okay.
Jason, I would love to start with you. I have some feedback, but I'm really curious.
Okay. So I think that the background and the way you delivered the video, I don't think you got to apologize for that. Your background is way nicer than the fucking background I got here that I did videos from. You know, like it looked like a pottery barn in the background. So I wouldn't, the real estate. Seriously though, the real estate in the video, I think it was a minute and a half you spent, and you burned up the first 25 seconds with that part ish, I think. So yeah, you're good to go. The background's good to go. I wouldn't apologize for anything, like all of that kind of stuff. I like that you clearly researched this person and there was a purpose to all of that stuff was really good. What I think about is a few things. A lot of what you talked about just now was really about what you wanted to convey about yourself. And what I would think about is if there's like a keystone habit with prospecting and selling, it's always this you first, me second mentality. I need to start with you first. So if I can start with something that evokes some sort of emotion, which do you know what proposal software they're using or no?
I am not aware. No.
So you know they use Salesforce. You also know their competitors. One thing that you can do in a video that I would recommend is I would recommend sharing your screen and I would make the thumbnail their competitor's website. That would be the very first thing that you have on because you know what? That's going to evoke some sort of emotion from them. And what I would talk about is this is a really basic infomercial formula that I like with video. It's what's the problem? How are people fixing it right now? And then what should you do instead? So the problem, what you would talk about with it, if we're using the slap, maybe you might be too young for this, Haley. I don't know how old you are. It's a slap chop. Did you ever see those infomercials? A little thing you can, yeah.
I
So
did not.
Instead of dicing onions by hand, you could use this little plastic contraption and it'll like chop it up for you. The problem they start with is, hey, you want to make soup and you want to do all this stuff and mince up all the vegetables, but you know what sucks is you either do that with a food processor and it makes a huge mess, or you do it with a knife and you cut yourself, and it's like this person freaking out, right? Now, what you could do instead, right? So that's the problem. What people will typically do is use the food processor, do all this other stuff, and what you can do instead is use this slap chop. It's a really basic formula. What's the problem? How do people normally are fixing it now, and what should they do instead that's like a better way of doing it? So what you might do is you could do a screen share of competitor pages, maybe 2 or 3 of their competitors. You're like, hey, I don't know if you're like most of these people, but you're selling something similar, and imagine the proposal process looks a lot like this. Now, this is where you guys are going to be better experts than I am in PandaDoc and how it differentiates. So I'm going to make something up. The proposal process for a lot of these companies, I imagine, is you guys have a deal in the pipeline, you send something over, and maybe the rep puts something in the proposal that they're not supposed to. And what people will typically have to do is really micromanage that process and do all of this kind of stuff. Here's a different way of doing it.
That's one of the biggest problems.
Yeah, you already got it.
So maybe there's I don't know if there's a deck or something that you guys have, or if you could just show it. I like that. What's that before and after? That's what so if that is one of those pain points, that's what I would really sell. Is here's how it's typically done. You do all this stuff, and I imagine as the sales ops person, you're like, oh, dude, what the hell? Like this person was not supposed to put that in there, and it creates a lot of work for you, and you end up doing all of this. Well, one of the things that you could do with PandaDoc, and we're actually talking to one of your competitors, Haley, is they're able to actually control all of this stuff. So when the reps put out proposals, they know 100% that the content's good to go, and you guys are not going to get into some sort of agreement that you didn't want to get into. I'd love to share with you what we're talking about with competitor A, B, and C, and if nothing else, give you some ideas and things that you guys can take back to your sales team. So that's kind of what I would be thinking about. Again, evoke emotion, do not apologize, don't waste any real estate at the top of the video. You have to evoke emotion, and the thumbnail's got to be, it's got to be more than you just waving, in my opinion, waving into the camera. Put something in that thumbnail that's like click worthy.
And as far as the the deck goes, I think I could probably get you something you could easily screen share in a video that you just have ready to rock on your desktop that shows that before and after, like a visual of some sort.
Yeah, one
Haley,
page.
so-
Yeah, just one thing. One other thing I'd recommend too is the email is so important. This is the part people don't talk about with video, is getting the person to click on the video is really hard.
It is. That's what we're experiencing.
Yeah. So the email might be I'm a really big fan of short emails. The email subject line might just be competitor name. Hey Patrick, notice that that your business is very similar to so and so. Here's how they're sending out their proposals right now. That's it. Like, create some curiosity of some sort. Make it really, really short.
Like that.
I just
Me
wrote,
too.
don't click on this video, please. And all of
Yeah.
mine, 100% success rate.
Whatever you do.
Whatever you do, do not click
Not
play on this video.
Click this play button.
Something horrible will happen.
Stupid reverse psychology, Patrick.
I'll make sure to do that tomorrow.
By the way, Travis, can I get that deck?
Sure.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Go ahead, Patrick. I want to hear what you have to say, Patrick.
Yeah, I love that. At its core, your delivery was really strong, by the way. So I wouldn't change how you say what you're saying at all. And you come off as a real human being. So many of the videos I get from well-intentioned people feel like an AI robot came to life and is terrorizing me via cadence sequence steps. And you felt like a real person. And a lot of it did come from like what Jason said. You clearly did your research. You knew a lot about them. I would say that was maybe 3 videos in one, however. And like you could almost not change anything and just stop at the first point, send that, and then take the second point and send that as another video, and then take the third point and send that as a video.
Damn.
And I think that would almost be way better, because I personally, when I get videos, if I see it's over like 30 seconds, I'm just like, no way I'm clicking on that. I do not have 30 seconds to watch someone I don't know say something. I just don't.
Yeah, you of all people especially do not.
Yeah, it's like I'm back to back all day. A lot of the people that you're reaching out to are back to back all day, not even taking lunch. Why would they spend a minute on it? And like that's something me and Jason talked about before. It's like you have to think about from their perspective, like what's going on with them. So I would say, yeah, keep it. Honestly, if you could do it in 20 seconds, that would be real nice. Mine were super short. I would screen share on their LinkedIn or some page that's relevant to them. And I would say, hey, I'm curious. How are you doing this right now? No need to reply via this. You could just respond to my LinkedIn or whatever. And I would direct them to a channel to respond to it.
Like that.
My last comment would be, you mentioned when I asked like what your intentions were, you were like, oh, I want them to get to know me. But then at the end, it felt like there was a call to action to book a meeting. So I feel like if your intentions are to get them to know you, it should almost have no ask. Or if your intentions are to get them to book a meeting, it should be more direct. It's like, here's why we should talk kind of thing. It kind of felt like in between where you need to pick one side or the other. Is this like a branding thing, or is this a way to book a meeting?
Yeah. That's something that Haley and I had talked about a little bit too, where I was like, do you want to use the famous Patrick Downs training line of like, hey, this is a cold outreach video.
Yeah,
If you don't want to watch this, go ahead and press stop.
Yeah.
And we were playing around with it, and Haley's like, no, I don't know if that really fits my style. And so we were just like, well, let's do what you feel comfortable doing. And then we went that route.
And that's so important, is like you need to feel it, and it needs to come from you. Because that's another big problem with sales training, is sometimes sales training will be like, this is the thing, this is the silver bullet that was promised to me, and then they try to do it and it just sounds weird in their voice. So I think finding a way.
Patrick, you're very witty too. You're very, very good at that. If I did that, I think I'd sound like an asshole.
Jason, could you compliment me more? Like that felt so good.
Patrick, you a witty mofo.
Yes.
Patrick, you look really good in pink.
Oh God.
Sure. One more tip I have actually.
Yeah.
So this is something, because videos, I don't know how many of these you send out, but it's a lot of work to create a video.
It is.
One thing that you could do too is ask the person if you could send a video.
That's an interesting take. So send a LinkedIn message first?
No, in the cold email, you're going to send it anyways after if they don't respond. Or not, depending on, so this is kind of a way for you to figure out where to spend your time too. Hey, Haley, I was talking to XYZ competitor and learned a lot about their proposal process. And they handled their proposals in this way. Can I send over a video to you with what I found?
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's kind of cool too. I have a guy, Ethan, that I work with him a lot closely on this kind of stuff, and he'll send out something like that where it's, "Hey Haley, typically when I talk to people like you, it's your little statement thing at the beginning of the cold call, Patrick. They
Yeah.
focus on one of three things. Respond back with a 1, 2, or a 3, and I'll record a video to show you how your competitors are dealing with that right now." And then he sends that video format that I told you. But he gets people to ask him for the video first, and then he sends like a 3-minute video though. It can be really long if it's really good and they've asked for it.
Permission, yeah.
Yeah. If they haven't asked for it, you need to keep it super short. It's got to be 20 seconds, 30 seconds kind of thing. But that's another thing you can do. I'm trying to find hand raisers. I'm always thinking about how do I make my outbound funnel look less like a T where people send 100 emails out and get like 2 responses? How do I make it look like an actual funnel where there's people that, hey, if I could get a 15 or 20% reply rate, even if half of those are negative, those are still replies. I can still work with a not interested. I can still work with a we're using, whatever other piece of shit solution they're using that's not PandaDoc, right? Like you can work with that. So another thing to kind of think about too is ask people if they want stuff and make it hard to say no to not want it.
I really like that. I think that all of these different strategies are going to be super fruitful when I create some of the videos tomorrow and moving forward. And I will definitely report back with what they look like and what the results are, because I think just making those minor adjustments can have some large impact. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kudos to you, Haley. This is super time consuming as well. So
Yep.
hopefully doing this project together with me and the team is going to be at least a learning experience for you. So appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. If we can learn and try and incorporate new and fun, different ways to prospect, why not? I'm here for it. So I love this stuff. I'm glad to help the team and see how we can continue to get some deals across the table and provide some feedback and support for other teams and other companies.
Right on. Well, I'm keeping an eye on the clock here. And Jason, we want to make sure we get to plug Blissful Prospecting and anything else that we can plug for you. Jay Bay is in the house. So how can people find you and what call to action do you have for them?
Yeah, I'd say the best place is our website, blissfulprospecting.com. So if you're kind of like, hey, I just want free stuff right now, podcasts, stuff like that, that's great. We got a ton of that there. So we have a podcast. We do weekly webinars, bi-weekly webinars, that kind of thing. There's guides, all kinds of fun stuff there. And then we also work with reps and companies. So if you're a rep and you want some help and coaching and that sort of stuff, we help folks. And then if you're a company looking to get help talking, video, email, cold calling, whatever it might be, we work with companies too. So website's the best place to check out.
Yeah, definitely go subscribe to Jason's podcast. It's got some awesome guests on there, including our boy Patty D. But really, really awesome actionable stuff that isn't what we were showing earlier that Haley got to miss out on. But when she listens to this episode, she'll be like, "Oh, Jesus." Jason, thanks for coming on the podcast. Haley, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Haley. Thanks, Jason.
Appreciate you guys, and peace out. Toodles.
Thanks for hanging out with us today on the Customer Engagement Lab. For more of Travis and Patrick's chaotic energy, subscribe to the show in your favorite podcast player. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you would make our hearts smile if you left a super quick rating of the show. Just tap the number of stars you think the show deserves. It'll take you 2 seconds, I promise. Till next time.